It is said that every person walks through life carrying an invisible compass that quietly guides their decisions about work, money, and security. And most never realize that this compass points them toward one of four distinct paths. Robert Kiyosaki begins the Cashflow Quadrant by describing these paths as if they were carved into the financial landscape: the employee, the self-employed, the business owner, and the investor. And he tells this tale the way a seasoned navigator would speak to a traveler at the brink of a long journey, urging them to look beyond the dust beneath their feet and see the terrain that truly shapes their future. He recounts how he, as a young man, stood between two powerful influences: a well-educated father who believed deeply in job security, and a wealthy mentor who believed in freedom through mastery of financial systems. This contrast becomes the emotional heartbeat of the story, because the four quadrants are not just categories of income, they are reflections of belief systems. When Kiyosaki describes the employee quadrant, he speaks of people who trade their time for a predictable paycheck, seeking comfort in structure and stability. He paints the picture of hardworking individuals who believe the safest path in life is to be paid regularly, even if it means surrendering control of their time, their earning potential, and sometimes their dreams. From there, he leads us to the self-employed quadrant, a world filled with proud specialists, people who rely on their own skills to generate income. These are the dentists, freelancers, technicians, and consultants who insist on doing everything themselves because they trust only their own hands. Kiyosaki tells the story of two dentists he knew, one who worked tirelessly in his clinic, personally treating every patient, and another who built a system with multiple practitioners. Although both earned well, only one could walk away without losing income. Through such examples, he reveals a subtle trap. The self-employed believe they own a business, but in reality, they often own only a demanding job. What begins as a simple tour of categories slowly evolves into a meditation on mindset. Kiyosaki emphasizes that the shift from the left side of the quadrant, employee and self-employed, to the right side, business owner and investor, requires not new skills at first, but a new way of thinking. He explains that employees are trained from childhood to value correct answers, predictable schedules, and steady salaries, the very mindset reinforced by traditional education. His criticism of the good grades, good job, lifelong security model is not an attack on education, but a warning that schools are designed to produce efficient workers, not financially free individuals. Many people fear risk so deeply that they cling to job security, unaware that the greatest risk may be relying on a single source of income. As the narrative moves into the business owner quadrant, Kiyosaki begins to illuminate one of the central themes of the book: the power of systems. Unlike the self-employed, business owners create structures that allow other people, employees, managers, contractors, to operate the machine. He gives vivid stories of entrepreneurs who built franchises, automated processes, or acquired companies with proven models. These people understand leverage, the ability to multiply their results by depending not on their own labor, but on the coordinated efforts of many. Kiyosaki admits that stepping into this quadrant demands emotional strength, leadership, humility, and the willingness to learn, but the reward is freedom, because a well-built system can function even when the owner steps away. And then comes the final quadrant, the quiet, powerful realm of investors. Here, Kiyosaki shifts from the noise of business operations to the calm rhythm of cash flow. Investors, he says, have learned the art of making money work harder than any human ever could. Whether through real estate, stocks, private businesses, or intellectual property, investors understand that every dollar is an employee. It goes out into the world, earns, and returns with more dollars. He shares his own stories of buying properties that produced income month after month, even while he slept.
and he describes the transformation that occurs when someone no longer works for money, but allows money to work for them. Yet he does not tell this story as if it were a fairy tale. He repeatedly emphasizes that crossing from one side of the quadrant to the other is not a matter of changing jobs, it is a matter of changing identity. He recalls the emotional struggle he faced when shifting from the employee mindset inherited from his biological father to the entrepreneurial mindset taught by his rich dad. He had to confront fear, doubt, and criticism, much like every traveler who dares to walk unfamiliar ground. What he makes clear is that financial freedom is not gifted, it is earned through education, discipline, and the willingness to face uncertainty. Throughout the narrative, he returns to the central tool that makes movement between quadrants possible: financial literacy. He describes how understanding a cash flow statement, a balance sheet, and an income statement can reveal the truth about a person's financial health more clearly than their salary ever could. With stories of people who bought liabilities thinking they were assets, the big house, the luxury car, the lifestyle expenses, he warns that misunderstanding money leads even high-earning professionals into lifelong financial struggle. Real assets, he insists, are those that produce cash flow consistently and predictably. But perhaps the most compelling part of the story is when Kiyosaki explains how ordinary people begin their transition. He urges readers to start small: a rental unit, a modest investment, a simple business idea, and build gradually. The first steps, he admits, are rarely glamorous. Many start by learning from established systems, franchises, proven business models, mentorship programs. Over time, as experience accumulates, these small assets grow, multiply, and eventually build the foundation for entering the investor quadrant. This slow, steady progression is the bridge that connects someone working for a paycheck to someone who controls their income. He also acknowledges the blind spots that trap many readers. Some try to jump straight into investing without education, treating the stock market like a casino. Others insist that because they work for themselves, they are free, not realizing that true freedom requires systems, not solo effort. And many underestimate the emotional journey, believing that techniques alone will bring wealth without the courage to face failure, discomfort, or change. These blind spots, Kiyosaki warns, can keep people stuck for decades if they confuse activity with progress. As the tale concludes, he ties the themes together by showing that the cash flow quadrant is ultimately a story of transformation, moving from dependence to independence, from working for money to directing money, from living by inherited beliefs to shaping one's own economic destiny. He encourages readers to expand their knowledge, study entrepreneurship, understand investing, and read further into the ideas that shaped him. Works like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The E-Myth Revisited, Think and Grow Rich, and guides on modern investing become natural extensions of the journey. And with this, the traveler, the reader, stands once again at the crossroads. But now the four letters carved in stone look different. They are no longer destinations imposed by circumstance, but choices illuminated by understanding. Kiyosaki's story ends not with instructions, but with empowerment, reminding us that the quadrant we choose shapes not just how we earn, but how we live.